So recently I've been posting a lot more of these DAWless jams, and I wanted to show kind of my core components that I use for this. The main thing is the Korg ES2. I'm using that as my sequencer for everything. What I see a lot of questions on forums and YouTube complaints, that kind of thing, is people don't understand how to use the Korg Electribe 2 as a sequencer to control other Midi components. So I'm going to show you right here how it works, and I'll make a little sequence for you so you can see. Kind of the key component here is you need to have the right little MIDI adapters that came with it, or buy some. And the second thing is you need a MIDI splitter. So this right here, I'm kind of picking it up. That is a MIDI splitter. So the input is right here, and then it sends 5 duplicate MIDI signals out, which is really nice for this setup because the Korg ES2 is sending the MIDI to here, and then it goes out from here into my Microkorg. I've got a Korg Volca Bass, and then I don't have anything to play on it, but a Meeblip Geode. Also, the same manufacturer of this through 5. It was a kit that I soldered together, and it's awesome for this sort of thing. I don't need any computers. This is my brains, or rather the sequencer, and it controls all this. So I'm going to show it to you in a sec, but this is where a lot of people get things wrong. They don't understand that they need a splitter. So that keeps it all in sync. So signal comes in once, and it farms out or goes out to 5 different things if you want it to. I've only got 3 right now. I've got the 3 right there. So, and I'll play a couple of MIDI notes so you can see my hand on the keypad here. So the way I've got my Electribe setup is channel 1 here is going to the Korg Volca. I don't know if you can see the lights on the Volca when I do that. Channel 2 is the Meeblip Geode. So you can see a light on it when I hit MIDI. So you can also see a light on the through 5 here that's lighting up as the MIDI signal goes out. Same thing for the Korg. And then the third, that is my Microkorg. I must have hit the volume knob. There we go. So, the Electribe is controlling 3 different things. So, let's, without further delay, this is a pre-programmed drum thing. I did this a couple minutes ago. And what I'm going to do is put it in record mode, and you can watch me hit the sequence, or rather sequence these external instruments using MIDI from the Electribe. So first thing I'm going to do on the Electribe, you click trigger, and you can see when I press on that, again, that's the Volca Bass. So I know the Volca Bass is receiving those, so I'm going to flip at the keyboard. So now every notepad that I hear is going to control a different note here. So this is just something I've created in C. So I've set the keyboard for this thing in C. So it's always kind of interesting on this thing to use tuning. Anyway. So there's the first thing. So the keyboard is set for an octave way. There we go. All right, so I'm going to clear that sequence so I can do it again and have it at the right keyboard. So use my shortcuts here. Get it to trigger, shift, clear sequence, enter. So now I've just cleared the bass here. So we're going to try it again. So I flipped it to keyboard, and I'm looking here. I want to make sure this is in that one. So that gives me good. I got the 3 oscillators slightly detuned, so it's kind of thick. All right, so I'm going to start my recording. So there's my bass line. And you can see that I can manipulate the Korg Volca. All right, so let's do the geode now. So trigger, switching instrument, so I'm on Midi channel 2. That's going to the geode. Doing it in keyboard. And we want this one a little higher. So I'm going to set it up to about right there, and I'm going to make something up and see. So we'll go with something like that. So that was a C. I know that's an E flat. So I'm doing something in C minor, and I guess what we'll do the triad here for a C minor. So it's a little loud. I'm going to cut down the geode a little bit. Okay, so now we got through Midi. We've got the bass line going here that's controlling the Volca. We've got the sort of lead line or melody line that's controlling the geode. So now we're going to bring in the Microkorg. And that is channel 3. I left channel 3 up on here so you know, maybe to help you out visually. Hear the sounds of that. So I'm actually going to record this from the Microkorg keyboard. I've set up the Midi out to go into the Midi in on the Electribe. So when I hit record, yeah, so it's already doing it. So the Microkorg is a little loud in that mix. So I can control it there. I also have it on the mixer here. And I think I hit a wrong note in there somewhere. And I want to hear the Korg Volca a little louder. So you probably can't see here, but I've got everything labeled on my mixer. So I'm going to turn the Volca up. Now this is no longer a click track with the Electribe, so my sequence is going. So again, to kind of summarize what I just did here, channel 1, Midi, it's recording the Korg Volca. Channel 2, that's the geode. Channel 3, that's the Microkorg. And the drums are still on the Electribe. And another thing that's probably useful, if you got an Electribe and you're learning how to do this, you want to set the sound sample for each of these pads. We'll stop it for a second. We'll get back to that glorious thing in a minute. So, I don't know if you can see what's going on here, but the audio in, I set that for the first 3 pads. So no sounds come out at all on the Electribe because it's set for the audio in, and I've got that turned down, the input's down, so there's no noise. So here we go. Watch this. So the part mute pads on the Electribe now control the MIDI. So I can bring the bass line in and out. And for jamming, that's really cool. So there's the Microkorg. Let's pull that back out. And now let's play around. We're going to play with the Geode a little bit here. And this is kind of a fun synthesizer. Let's detune a little more. So I've got the LFO controlling the filter. And if you don't have one of these Meeblip things, they are a blast. I don't. If you can see the layout of the knobs, they're really easy to get to the sounds. You don't have a keyboard like that. You know, the Volca has this sort of quasi keyboard thing here. But these are kind of fun things to play with. It's 2 oscillators versus the 3 on the Volca. Anyway, so little pitch out there. The Meeblip stuff is awesome. And while you're at it, get yourself a through 5. Get a friend to solder it for you if you don't know how to solder. But this is really it. This is the key to doing this sort of DAWless jam. You need a MIDI out, MIDI in that splits it to mini MIDI outs, like 5 in this example. All right, so I'm going to drop out a couple parts and bring the Microkorg back. Let's pull up the bass line. Yeah, I played something out of tune, clearly. So we'll pull it back out because it was out of tune. So I hope that was helpful for those of you that have an Electribe or you're curious about how to do a DAWless jam with MIDI. And the MIDI controller or sequencer that you're using only has 1 MIDI out. This is how you do it. You need one of these splitters like this. This MIDI splitter is the key to it. So get yourself one. Get one from Meeblip. They make great stuff. So that's my plug for Meeblip. I am not compensated at all by them. It's cool stuff. All right, later.